Hey everybody, it's Eric from EPautos.com, your libertarian car guy. Mr. T says hello, I say hello. Wanted to talk a little bit this morning, if I can organize my thoughts coherently, about communism and why some people are attracted to it. Now, of course, probably the majority of people who are attracted to it don't consider themselves communists. They consider themselves Democrats. But they're really not, and I don't mean that as a pejorative, I mean that as a statement of fact, because if you look at the planks of the Communist Manifesto, what the Communist Manifesto is written by Karl Marx advocated, well, to one degree or another, the so-called Democrat Party advocates all of those things, including a heavy progressive tax, inheritance taxes, yada, 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 all of this stuff, government schools, government education, you name it. And where am I going with this? I'm trying to figure out what the attraction is. You know, I myself am not a communist. You know, I don't get the idea of surrendering yourself as an individual, your autonomy, your prerogative as a competent adult to make decisions for yourself, to succeed or fail on your own merits. I don't understand the attraction of giving that up to some other person, because that's what we're talking about. There's an interesting thing about communism in that it's assumed that there's this great collective. They talk about the proletariat, the people, the working class. The problem with any collective is that somebody's got to run it. You know, as a practical nuts and bolts matter, the people don't run anything. A few people run it. So when you have a communist system, you have a hierarchical system with a handful of people at the apex of the pyramid who de facto control everything. You know, they'll say that they do it in the name of the people, but they're really doing it themselves and according to their own lights, according to what they think is right and proper. And that gives them the benefit of the doubt. And it assumes that they're not just outright malicious, even evil people like Stalin, let's say, or Mao, or other communist tyrants who have literally exterminated wholesale populations for the sake of establishing their control by imparting terror on the population. So let's get back to what's the boon here. What's the upside? In a communist system, your work, your worth, your capacity, your gumption doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter how hard you work, because you're working for the benefit of the system, for the apparatchiks. And again, they'll say, oh, it's for the common good. No, it's for them and the system. And they use this hideous mechanism of making it seem as though everybody's helping and benefiting everybody else, but it's never that. What it is everybody's enslaved to everybody else, and everybody is dragged down to the level of the most miserable. That's what it is ultimately in a communist system. I'm going to segue a little bit here to one of my favorite sci-fi writers, Robert Heinlein, who was the guy who propagated the idea that there's no such thing as a free lunch. And there's an acronym in his writing that you'll find out about if you read his works, which I recommend because he's an excellent writer, and he's also a writer who delves into some of these philosophical topics in a way that I think is superbly done, because it's just an interesting narrative that he tells, and along the way you get to learn some valuable lessons. And one of those lessons is that there is no such thing as a free lunch. Most people don't like having to work. Nobody wants to get out of bed early, get in the car, go to a job somewhere, even though there is a degree of fulfillment there. And that's a topic for a whole nother rant. If you think about what would your life be like if everything was just sort of handed to you. And it isn't handed to you, by the way. It's handed to you maybe, but with conditions, in the same manner that you got things from your parents when you were a little kid. And it was nice to have these things, but they ultimately weren't yours. And as a general thing, you knew perfectly well that if you didn't abide by your parents' rules, entirely reasonable, you're living under their roof, you're eating the food they pay for, and so on, that those things could be withheld from you. As opposed to working for things on your own, and they're yours, and more to the point that you have a right to, because you did work for them, and therefore you have a right to them. Nobody else worked for it. Tom Sowell, I know I'm going all over the map here, but bear with me. Tom Sowell asked, what exactly is your fair share of what somebody else worked for? And that's a really trenchant observation, in my opinion. I'm sorry that some other person hasn't got, but the fact that they haven't got doesn't mean that I or anybody else owes. You know, we may want to help them, we may have empathy for them, but that empathy is what is used in a malicious and machinating kind of a way to turn what ought to be freely given help into a coercive obligation. And something even more insidious than that, it's a kind of slavery, isn't it? Because you're literally told that you have to work for the benefit of some other person. And if that's not a working definition of slavery, I don't know what is. In fact, I consider it to be a more evil version of slavery because it lacks like the honest legality of chattel slavery that existed once, where people were legally, literally the property of their massa. Now, we're ostensibly emancipated, free people, and yet we're still effectively chained and enslaved to this plantation system in which the massa is the federal government, the state government, the county governments, and these extract from you the fruit of your labor. The fact that you can move from one plantation to another, one state to another, one county to another, doesn't change the fact that effectively you're on a plantation. So, I'm trying to get to or reach particularly younger people who might be inclined to support communism in the form of democratism, if you will, and to stop and consider what it really will mean for you. And I'm assuming when I'm directing this toward the people in that situation, that you're not just a lazy loser who just wants to be given things. And if you are, well, there's no point in talking to you because you're pretty much beyond help. And really, you need to grow up because you're operating at the level of a temper tantruming 6-year-old who wants just things to be given to him right now, or I'm going to stamp my feet and I'm going to scream and yell until I get them. And that's not an adult thing to do. Adults ought not to behave that way. And no adult ought to want to be effectively a child, somebody that is in a state of arrested development, who is told what to do by the grown-ups in the room, who aren't, unlike most people's parents, actually benevolent people who are trying to help you move up the ladder to adulthood. So anyway, these are just a few of the thoughts that I had this morning as I'm heading down to the gym for Captain Freedom's workout. And if you would like to banter about this some more, I encourage you to stop by EPautos.com. We have a pretty active comment section following each of the articles, and I know it's a little hard to find, but there's also a forum that you can go to. You can find it on the top menu bar, on one of the pull-down menus. Under Tools, you'll see Forum, and if you open that, there's an area where you can start a conversation about any topic you'd like, and unlike, say, Facebook or Twitter, there's no limit on the character count. If you want to post a 2,000-word article, you absolutely can do that, and I welcome topics on any topic. You feel free to let loose with whatever's on your mind, and I hope you'll check it out. Anyway, more over at EPautos.com. I'll be on Bill Meyer's show tomorrow per usual, which will be 9:30 East, and I will have the audio of that up on the site later in the day. Thanks as always, and we'll catch up with you again soon.